Welcome to the High Vibration Reset. I'm Ciara Conlon, and each week we explore practical ways to support your mindset, energy, and nervous system so that you can create a success that feels more aligned, sustainable, and fulfilling. Please hit the follow button to join us each week. My guest this week is Becca McLaughlin. Becca is a sound and breathwork facilitator. She supports people to move away from overwhelm and stress into a greater sense of calm, balance, and ease. She does this through sound baths, breathwork, meditation, and nervous system regulation practices. So in this episode, she explains how well-being doesn't have to be complicated, that it can begin with a single breath, a moment of presence, or simply giving ourselves the permission to pause. So make sure you listen to this episode right to the end as she guides us through a lovely breathwork practice. So let's get into the episode. Welcome, Becca McLaughlin, to the High Vibration Reset. Delighted to have you here today, Becca.
Thank you so much, Ciara. Thanks for having me.
So can we start with you telling us a little bit about your story and how you got interested in sound and breathwork?
Of course. Well, I guess like many people, I kind of came across sound and breathwork through my own little journey. You know, life was quite busy and it looked successful on the outside. I was a primary school teacher, but internally I felt very disconnected from myself. I was overwhelmed, constantly doing. I was a chronic people pleaser, fawning, doing everything and anything for anyone, whereas I was completely abandoning myself. Inwards, my inner child was screaming for help. And, I just, I was doing everything for anyone, but I just never took the time to look inwards. So I was just all go, 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 go. And I moved abroad and I lived abroad for a couple of years. And I found that was like a massive challenge in itself because, I was quite a home bird. And then when I moved away, suddenly I was like outside my, stable environment that I was used to. And I was thrown with all these challenges and everything. And then through itself, I actually found a podcast, Caroline Foran, it's Owning It, the Anxiety podcast. And I just randomly stumbled upon it and I was listening to it. And I was like, oh my God, that is all me. Like all of these things is me. And I guess like when I was younger, we were never really taught in school what is anxiety or what are all these feelings and how do we deal with them? And it was never really made like it seemed okay. So I think I kind of always thought, oh no, like it's not okay to feel this way. It's not okay to be, anxious, or like I just felt like it was such a label. Like you can't say, oh, you suffer with your nerves or you suffer with this, because it was like quite an Irish thing, or you're anxious. I felt like it was such a label, and that podcast really unlocked, with me, that it was like, okay, just own it. Like, this is how you feel. This is how your feelings, this is what's happening, and own it. And when I was younger, like I had really bad asthma and I always was chronically going around with like a shallow breath, and I could never get that feeling where I could fully catch my breath. And I feel like the anxiety just kind of made it worse, like I knew that, oh, I'm feeling worried about something. Okay, something's going on here, but I just couldn't really tie the two together. So I guess when I moved home, I randomly stumbled across Breathe with Neil. I did like a lovely full moon circle with him and Christine. They do incredible ones on the beach. And I just loved like how he was teaching the breath work. And for the first time in such a long time, when I lay down, I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually breathe. Like I didn't really realize I was going around breathing up here. And I, for the first time in the longest, like as long as I can remember, really, I was like, okay, I can properly breathe. There's something has shifted. And I followed him along, and then, I was just kind of going around my, I was like, oh, I must book into one of his classes, or I must do this. And, yourself, you put everything on the long finger, and randomly he sends beautiful emails. And I just opened one of his emails and it was kind of just talking about his experience that week and how the breath had helped him, and it had that he was starting a teacher training. So I said, oh, sure, look, I'll sign up to it and, I'll see where it brings me. I'm not really going to, you know, decide, oh, I'm going to change my day job and become a breathwork teacher. I'll just see. But like with that, oh my goodness, it was like a key had unlocked. Like he has an amazing way of teaching. He just prepared us. He kind of gave us the tools and then, showed us how we can bring it to others. So his kind of motto, and him and Josie have the Blissful Breath Academy. It's honestly incredible. And their motto is better breathing for everyone. So, it's kind of like that. They kind of talk about that ripple effect that, if you learn how to breathe better, that will have that ripple effect on your family, your friends, your work, and it just keeps on expanding, expanding, expanding. So, yeah, I've been fortunate enough. I've gone on and done 4 levels now with Neil, and I'm doing my master level next year. And I guess through that, I kind of found after I'd done my first year of the teaching, where my first course of the teaching, I decided I was like, oh, I feel like there's something else I would love to do. And I guess I kind of was in a bit of a like, oh my God, this is amazing. What more can I do? Kind of thing.
Mm.
But with that, I actually found sound healing. And that in itself also was incredible. So I just found that the two of them combined were amazing. I went on a solo trip abroad and I just lost my papa, who I was really close with, my granddad. And I know that the breath fully helped me deal with the grief. It really helped me, like, because honestly, if you told anyone 10 years ago that I was going to go on a solo trip, I would have just laughed at you, because that is not, I'm just so, I'm
I
such a people
know.
person, and a very like routine. And I kind of thought, like, Papa passed away in the December, and then I was going in the January. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able for this. But honestly, just doing those simple daily breathwork practices really, really helped center and calm me. And I guess like changing how I was breathing changed how I felt, and that's kind of one of the key mottos that we learn with Neil, is that our breath is that incredible tool that we have.
Resource. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous. It's funny. I haven't heard that expression in a long time. She suffers with her nerves.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And exactly as you say, Becca, it was seen as something wrong with you. And all it was people stressed or anxious or feeling out of sorts with life.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's such an Irish thing, and I'm big into the Irish language, and I think the Irish language is quite interesting in that, you know, when it comes to framing our emotions, tá brown sadness is on me. So I think like if we kind of strip it all back and look at that, like that's actually a really nice way of phrasing it, that it's on me. It's not me. Like sadness isn't me, or, like fear doesn't define me. It's on me. So I just think like, in our core, like we all know it as Irish people, but I think sometimes it can be, I think years ago it was a thing. And I guess, unfortunately, I wasn't fortunate enough in school to learn about feelings. And I know kids nowadays, thank goodness, they are learning about it. And, it's just becoming a little bit easier for them to be able to recognize and acknowledge and name their feelings. And obviously, we know Inside Out was a massive,
Yeah.
amazing Disney movie to show us that. But like, I just wish little Becca back when she was, so worried, constantly just overthinking, and, just her mind was racing. I wish that, there was a teacher who was able to tell me that back then.
And that's the thing. I think emotion was used almost as a weapon against women because we were classed as too sensitive, over emotional, and pushed aside as
Mhm.
not being strong enough to lead or to, take part in real society. So actually acknowledging, as you said, owning and accepting. Now we need to remind ourselves and our bodies that this emotion is okay. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel guilty. They're normal human emotions. And as the Irish language reminds us, they're not permanent. They're part of life and they come and go if we allow them to.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's, I found that as soon as I owned it, I realized I was like, that's helping me. Do you know? Because you're not putting it at the back of your mind, you're not putting it in a box. I was like, it was helping me. And I guess like every single person is different. Like we are all so, so different. So it's just all about like kind of finding what works for you and like how your brain works and like everyone, like my life motto is that everyone is trying their best and everyone's best looks different to each other. Do you know? Because your mind is so different that somebody's best could be just getting up, putting on clothes and walking out to the garden. Do you know? So we're all just to remember that, because sometimes I just think in life everyone's just rushing, wondering about this, wondering about that. And I think at the moment in general, there's, the news, there can be a lot happening and it can be so easy to get tied into it all, but just to pare it back and just say, okay, I'm doing my best today. Or like I wake up every morning and I say, today is going to be a great day. I know it's like sounds cliche, but, and challenges are going to happen. Not every day is going to be perfect, but it's how you respond to those challenges.
Yeah, we have to decide to be happy, decide to do our best, even whatever comes our way. But Becca, would you mind now, because very often when I'm coaching people, it's one of the first things I notice. So somebody will come on screen, we'll talk a little bit about their goals and why they're here. And I'll often notice that their breath is coming from their chest, that, they're speaking too fast or that they're not giving themselves that opportunity. So could you just maybe make people more aware in this moment of their own breath and just guide us to what we should be doing or what a proper breath is?
Yeah, well, I guess you kind of, if you strip it back to when you're a baby, if you ever look at a baby breathing, okay, they're, you're changing their nappy or whatever, and their belly is rising and falling. So from as children, we know how to breathe, like from the minute we come into this world, and Neil talks about the power of the cold. When a baby is born, what triggers them to breathe is the cold, because they're in the womb and they're shocked into the cold. The power of the cold triggers their lungs to set in. So I guess we should all be breathing from our belly. But what happens is we kind of go through life, things happen, and we start to breathe up here from our chest, and that shallow breathing doesn't help you, because it helps you're anxious and you're worried and you're breathing from up here where you should be breathing from your belly. So one of the best things to kind of bring it in is, I would just say, at nighttime when you're lying down, put your hands on your belly and take a moment, like don't change your breath, just take a moment to say, okay, how am I feeling? And you might be feeling quite anxious or worried or stressed, that's okay. And you might feel it up here. You might feel your chest is really tight. And what you can do is you can take a few calming breaths, breathing in through your nose, and imagine that your belly is like a balloon. So try and push that breath down into your belly. Imagine like it's like a balloon expanding, and then just allow it to simply fall. So if you start by doing this at nighttime, even just twice or even once, that's going to bring your breath slowly back down into your belly in the way we should be breathing. I often kind of like to visualize it like, you can feel your ribs expanding as well. Sometimes you can place your hands on your ribs and you're trying to push that breath as far to like all the corners of your belly, kind of thing. If that
Very
helps.
good. Very good. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot I was part of this or leading this podcast there. I was getting into the breath. Tell me this, because this is one thing we often hear, breathing out through the mouth or breathing out through the nose. What's the difference?
So some people say you should breathe in and out through your nose, nasal breath, but some people find that quite constricting. And like having had asthma as a child, I know that feeling of like, trying to gasp for a breath. So actually at nighttime I try to do nasal breathing. I have little mouth tapes to try and encourage us. The best way really is nasal breathing, because it filters the air as it goes in through our lungs. But some people it doesn't suit. So you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Sometimes it can be a lot harder if you haven't experienced or practiced breath work. Like our lungs are like a muscle. It can be really, really hard to breathe out through your nose. So it can be a lot easier to breathe in through your nose and then to control that breath, the long, slow exhale through your mouth, because you think of your mouth as like a straw. So as you're breathing out, you can kind of control it, whereas your nose, you can't control it as much.
And that's something I always found breath work. Even the fact that I'm a meditation teacher, I still always struggled with breath work and avoided it.
Hmm.
I know how good it is for you, but like that, I struggled to try and lengthen my out breath and then I would start to get into my head and maybe even get a bit anxious about it because I couldn't follow the breath work and
Yeah.
structure. So what's
And
your
that's
advice there?
Well, no, that's such a normal feeling to feel. And I myself would have felt that too. And I actually was quite, I there's different types of breath work as well. There's conscious connected breath work. I amn't trained in that type of breath work, so I can't give advice on that. However, I find the one that I learned from Neil is safe for everyone. So that's the most important thing. It's safe breathing for everyone, and it's all about creating that space that everybody feels comfortable to do what their body needs. We are all so different, and like, coming back to it being a muscle, you have to practice it. So if you go to a class and you find it hard, like I always just say to anyone in the class, I say, look, if you find this difficult, bring it back to your own natural breath, and it's kind of setting that precedent that there's no pressure, that if, it's hard to keep up with it, that's okay. Even if you do one round, you're still slowly but slowly building it, and you kind of think of it like an onion with layers, you're just slowly, slowly stripping away the layers. And I practice breath work every day, even if it's just 5 minutes, if I can't get a full amount of time. And I find it really, really important to practice it in the morning. If I don't do even those 5 minutes where I'm centering, I'm calming myself, I feel like things then chip away. So I would say to anybody like who's a bit worried or, just start small. And, my thing is when I get to a red light, I just take a calming breath. I just breathe in through my nose and breathe out through my mouth. And I sometimes sigh it out. And I feel like by doing that sigh, it's just like that weight is lifted off my shoulders, So I would say that, like, if people are interested in trying it, maybe start by in the car, because the mornings can be so busy. It can be, traffic can be bad. And, every time you see a red light or a stop sign, just take a second and say, okay, I'm going to do one calming breath here. And yeah, I guess it's just, when it comes back to the facilitator and the classes, everyone's going to find people who, they bounce off or it resonates with them. So, I would say if you went to a class and, you find it a bit difficult, maybe try a different one with somebody else. It's just kind of finding that person that clicks. I guess it's like therapists as well, like not everyone likes peaches.
Yeah.
So you mightn't click with everybody. So maybe just give it a little try. And, just that gentle, make sure it's the gentle breath work that's safe for everybody.
You said it helped you with your anxiety. What are the other benefits?
So it can help you be very grounded and centered and calm. And it calms down your nervous system. So it brings your body into a state of balance. So we all have this vagus nerve that starts at the stem of our brain and goes all the way down into your abdomen. So sometimes during a class, people might feel their tummy rumbling, and that's basically the vagus nerve is kicking in. it's working. So it brings your body from a state of fight or flight to rest and digest. So that vagus nerve starts to work, because sometimes it's not working. We're all running around, and by just taking those moments to slow down your breath, it can bring your body into a state of balance. It's extremely restorative. It's healing. There's a breath called the coherent breath, which is known as the healing breath. So it helps heal, it reduces muscle tension. Honestly, the benefits are endless. Better sleep.
And you said you do it first thing in the morning. So doing it 5 minutes in the morning, is that enough to get the benefits? Or is it something we need to do more frequently?
It would be like, I mean, I would just say start small. It's not something that you need to do 3 hours a day, to be walking around. It's just kind of, I guess, it's finding the time, and people can be very, very busy, and it's kind of carving out that time. So I would always do it in the morning, and I'd always do it in the evening, like before I go to bed. And I just find for me, it sets me up for that. Like I sleep really well when I'm doing it at nighttime, when I'm lying down. And, to anyone who would like to try it, I would say just at nighttime, lie down, the simple belly breaths, or the vagus nerve breath is where you extend your exhale. So if you breathe in for 3 and focus on extending your exhale for 6. Some people like the kind of visual of the numbers, or just breathe in and just imagine breathing all the way out, slipping away, slipping away, slipping away. And slowly, for anybody who might find it difficult to sleep, if you continue to do that, I often play nice, relaxing music and I put a sleep timer on. That will just help kind of relax you and hopefully help you sleep. And I understand sometimes people might like find it really, really hard, but if you continuously practice that breath, it will help.
And you say it's healing. So I read that book as well. Breathe. Is that what it's called? Breathe. It came out a couple of years ago.
Sure.
And the author spoke about issues that he had. I don't know if it was asthma or, and that actually practicing the breath and using the mouth strips, that it reversed a lot of his conditions. Have you seen things like that happen for people, that certain
Yeah.
conditions are healed by practicing more regularly?
Yeah, no, honestly, the benefits have just been incredible. And, we learned in our training, like Neil also suffered from asthma and he reversed his asthma. There have been people, like we have a group where people post in, if they've been working with somebody, how it's helped. And one lady was saying about a little boy who was 12 that she was working with, and he had been to endless doctors and nothing was working. And his mum was kind of just said to her, "I need help," and she just taught him this coherent breath, the healing breath, and completely reversed whatever issues he had. And like the doctors couldn't believe it, so there is science behind it as well. And I find, I kind of, as I got older, it's funny because when I was younger, when I had asthma and I was really bad, the doctors in the hospital had said to my mum, they were like, "Look, she's going to suffer with this all her life. And, it's just kind of finding what's going to work." And she heard then, because she's a nurse, she heard from a friend that swimming is really good. So she put me into swimming. And I swear, like, I'm so grateful for my mum back then, always, that she put me into swimming, because if you think about it, it forces you to use your lungs. It forces your lungs to expand because you're swimming. So I was very lucky. Now, I still kind of, when I moved abroad, I realized like it all rehashed. And I guess it kind of was probably triggered by, the anxiety or being away from home. But yeah, like the breath work, thank God, I just don't have any, do you know, breath, my breath seems fine. I don't have any asthma anymore. I don't take inhalers. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
brilliant.
So then the sound, how did you bring the sound in beside the breath? Or do you practice them both together? How does it work?
So I wouldn't practice the sound every day. I kind of would like to get back into more of a habit initially after I'd done my training and, got my diploma in sound healing. I was doing it every day. I do it at least 3 times a week. So I actually brought one of the bowls along. I'll show you here. The ones that we use are these therapy grade Tibetan bowls. So they work on a level, if you think about the fact we're 60 to 70% water. So they shift the vibrations. So sometimes, it's actually proven that they shift your brain waves as well into a calming state. So they've done, like, scientists have done studies where they've checked, and blood as well. They've done blood samples pre and post a sound bath. So I just find that, my mind races an awful lot. Like, I always overthink, and I find when I combined the breath work and I went to a sound bath, I just couldn't believe how I was able to actually switch off. Like, because at the beginning, naturally, you lie down and you're thinking about the clothes on the line and you're thinking about, the endless to-do list. And I genuinely couldn't believe, like, afterwards, when I was brought back, that I was like, oh my goodness, I went to a beautiful state and, like, I was in a dreamy state. I couldn't actually believe that what happened. Um, so those sound bowls are amazing. The Tibetan bowls. Some people use the crystal bowls as well. So what I do in my classes is I use the Tibetan bowls and I place them on people's bodies, on their chest or their tummy. So that combined with the breath, people have said, has been, like, really, really incredible. They find it really relaxing, and yeah, it's just kind of all about bringing the mind and the body back into balance. And I find, for me, that's what works.
So, how do you know that the vibration is needed somewhere? So, you say, with the science shows that the vibration is affecting the blood and the water composition of our bodies. So, is there a certain level that works? Is it just a clearing activity that helps remove any blocks that are there? Or how is it working?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a clearing. If you imagine, like, say balls are all stuck together in water, molecules, and if you vibrate them, they slowly start to drift away. So the sound can shift blockages, it can release tension. So sometimes, like, I would often notice, if I'm doing a one-to-one sound healing massage, I can hear, before I even play the bowl on the person's body, when I hold it above certain parts of their bodies, I can often hear the sound. It doesn't resonate. The pitch is different. So sometimes you can pick up on the bowl, can tell you an awful lot. So then when you play it on the person or around their energy field, because we have our physical bodies and we have our energetic bodies that can stretch out and out and out. So when the sound is played, that shifts into your energetic body, and that can shift things, on a physical and emotional level as well. So it's honestly incredible. It's amazing.
So it's never too much for somebody.
Well, I think some people have found it too much. I've never experienced it in my class. I guess it kind of comes back again to the person, who's holding the space. I went to one before and I didn't find I enjoyed it. Every sound is kind of, some sounds can be triggering for people. I find sometimes the gongs can be really, really loud. And I guess it's all about the way in which it's played, and how that, like, immersive sound experience has been, how the space has been held, and I know I was chatting to one of my friends recently, and she was looking into doing actually the sound healing, and she had mentioned she went to a class and then she just kind of seemed a bit put off by it because she didn't like it at all herself. And two of her friends came out of it feeling kind of a bit more overwhelmed than going in. So I think it's all, in my opinion anyway, it's all about kind of how you hold the space, how that, when the people come in, that it's a nice relaxing area, that it smells nice, that there's nice lighting. And it's not about like playing 100 bowls and all this lovely sound. It's kind of actually less is more, really. So it's just like, you have to just be aware that everyone who's coming is experiencing different things and you don't know what anyone's coming with or carrying. So I would always just go very, very, very gentle.
Because it can shift trauma. It can encourage the body to release
Mhm. Absolutely. And
stuck
like
emotion.
combined with the breath work as well, like breath work can bring up a lot of emotions. Like we can suppress an awful lot. And if you think of it like kind of a tide chain or something that's knotted, it's like a big knot. So it's like kind of slowly and slowly and slowly unraveling it bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. And sometimes some people might feel really emotional. They might cry, they might laugh, and like that's what I always say is this is all part of it and that's all normal to feel that way. And I guess like we have to try let go of emotions and as much as we can in order to heal, to try just dig deep and slowly, slowly, slowly let go of things that we might be holding on to that we don't need to as well.
But it's okay to feel it. Like we said at the
Absolutely.
start, because people, I think, fear that, or they get a strong visceral response to the sound or to the breath work. And they think, I shouldn't feel like this. This is not right.
And that's so normal as well because sometimes people don't have experience or they don't know what to expect, and that fear is so normal. But the one thing I would say to anyone going to any of these things, it's okay. Like it's okay to cry. It's okay to let go. And I think it sometimes does come back to that Irish thing that we were kind of saying at the beginning, like, well, you can't cry now. Like, you can't let the tears show, you can't show tears, but we absolutely can. And I guess like I grew up, I'm highly sensitive and highly empathetic as well. So I grew up like, in school, I might cry if my pencil fell on the ground or whatever, but I never knew that that was okay because that's the way I am as a person. So, that phrase, oh, you're a very sensitive person. But it's actually, and that label for so long, I felt like there was something wrong with me because I was highly sensitive. And I felt, oh dear, okay, well, like I can't cry or I can't this. So I was suppressing them for so long, but I just know I'm a Pisces, I'm a fish, I'm highly emotional. And I'm kind of like, okay, it is what it is. I have to just let it be.
It's so important that we accept ourselves, and that there's a balance, of course, between accepting who we are. And maybe even often I hear people make excuses for their bad behavior as it being their personality. Um, but there are parts of us that are okay. And especially that piece that we've been trained from a young age not to cry. You go from being a crybaby
Hmm.
to being oversensitive and emotional as a woman. And it's such an important part of being human to let out what we're feeling. And I
Yeah.
think people are starting to realize that more and more, that emotion is okay, but it depends also on the environment that you're in the
Hmm.
workplace, who you're surrounded with, whether you feel that it's
Feel
okay to feel.
safe to,
Mm.
yeah, I agree. And I think like, do you know, as women, our emotions are roller coasters, like, and when you have a child and perimenopause and everything. And I think people nowadays are talking a lot more about perimenopause and like owning how they're feeling. But I think for so long it was also suppressed. So, you do have to feel safe. Like I know who I can tell things to and who I feel safe opening up and crying or, but I think you do, as you said, like you have to kind of know, where who you can talk to and who you feel safe who will respond to you and, not kind of shut you down as well.
And what's happened with the people pleasing?
Well, I've really just turned inwards and I have boundaries now, which is a great win. Yeah, I really, really learned from, my ever long healing journey, which is lifelong. that people pleasing and fawning was completely and utterly abandoning myself and abandoning my needs. So I've completely turned inwards. I have given little Becca my inner child, because for so long people used to talk about an inner child, and I was like, what? Like I never got it. Like I was like, what? Like, is it a little version? I just never really got it. Um so now I've done loads of work. I know you had Lauren on the podcast. Lauren is my energy coach. She is honestly
Ah.
incredible. And I've done a lot of work with Lauren on that, like going inwards and just, looking after yourself, because like, that phrase that gets thrown around is you can't fill from an empty cup. So, I've just learned to completely come inwards to myself. Like, I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a kind person, and I don't need to show anyone that. I'm like, people who know me know who I am. And, it's just interesting, like by having those boundaries and, by looking after yourself, that, you realize sometimes you might lose a few people along the way. You might gain other people. Like, it's just all about turning inwards and protecting yourself, knowing your worth as well, which is obviously one of the most important things. And yeah, I've learned like loads. I'm still healing and I'm still working on it. Sometimes I say yes to things and I'm like, Becca, you shouldn't have said yes to that. You didn't want to go. But I'm definitely like so much better than I was years ago.
And for somebody who's feeling stressed or anxious right now, what do you suggest or recommend to start maybe with a bit of breath work? Is sound healing something that should be done supervised, or what's your
Yeah, so
thought?
I would say the breath work, kind of as I kind of mentioned, those just simple calming breaths, just bringing yourself back into your body, like just taking those moments to ground yourself, bringing yourself into the present moment, because what can happen is our heads up here, and it's just bringing yourself down and bringing yourself back. And like I have to do it all the time, every day, completely grounding myself. One of my amazing friends, Grania, taught me. I did like a nervous system reset course with her, and she kind of taught me all about like how you can just do simple things every single day to reset. So, and it can be like, you could say, okay, every hour, this is what I'm going to do. And really, really simple, just doing a little scan around the room. Okay, what can I spot that's blue? So that brings your mind back into a state of the present moment. So doing those little scans, placing your feet flat on the ground, and just imagine feeling like that pull. And, I often might just tell myself something like, I am calm. So if somebody's feeling stressed or overwhelmed, and it might be really, really hard to get down because there might be an awful lot going on. But I would say start small, just bring it back to those very, very, very simple things, like simple, 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 simple things you can do. There's another one you can do: 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things that you can taste, 2 things that you can touch. Bring it back to those kind of tangible things. Because if you're stressed and overwhelmed, it's so easy for somebody on the outside to say, okay, do this. And it doesn't work because, you're up in a really, really high state. And sound healing as well, I find, for me personally, really, really helps, but absolutely supervised. So by going to a class with somebody who's fully qualified. Um, you can listen to a sound bath at night time as well. You can type in on Spotify sound baths, 10 hours. You can listen to that. And that's obviously safe in your home environment.
And you work with people one to one as well as running group
Yeah.
sessions, yeah?
So I do one-to-ones. I'm going to be opening my one-to-one slots during the summer as well. I'm trying to source a little studio to do the one-to-ones. And I would do breath work, sound healing, Reiki, combine them all. And during a sound healing massage, which is where the bowls, so I have different bowls where I place on different parts of the body. So this one here that I was showing you earlier was the universal bowl. So I might place that on your belly. There's a heart bowl for your chest, your shoulders. And then when you turn around on your back, and people find the benefits of that are absolutely amazing and like so relaxing. Like just really, people who find it really, really hard to switch off have found, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was able to actually fully switch off there. So yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. So it can also work for, you say a sound healing massage, which sounds really nice to me,
Yeah.
but for a dodgy shoulder or that
Yeah,
can help
absolutely.
there.
It can release tension. Because kind of coming back to that, if you think of it like a ball, it by those vibrations can shift things that are quite deep. So they go on a cellular level.
Sounds amazing. So, Becca, would you be so kind to guide us through a little session today?
I absolutely will. If anybody's listening to the podcast and they're walking or driving, please don't press play if you're driving. Maybe wait till you've stopped at your destination. And if you were walking, it would be suitable if you found a space, even a wall or a bench or somewhere to sit down, take a moment. And if it doesn't suit, press pause and come back to it tonight when you're getting into your labba. Taking a moment now to fully ground yourself. If you're sitting down, feel your feet on the ground beneath you. Or if you're lying down, gently placing your hands on your belly, noticing the points of contact between the floor and the space that you're held. We'll begin by taking 3 calming breaths, breathing in and sigh it out. Breathing fully in and sigh it out, allowing yourself to melt. Final breath here, breathing in. And on the exhale, allow your breath to slip away, slip away, slip away. Continuing to focus on your breath. Taking a moment to notice how you may feel. You might give your breath a feeling. Do you perhaps feel stressed, overwhelmed? And by doing these couple of rounds of breathing today, we can shift how we feel. We'll begin now with a coherent breath, a beautiful healing breath. We'll be breathing in for a count of 4 and breathing out for a count of 4. But always go at your own pace. If a count of 3 is better for you, always trust yourself and your body. Now we will gently breathe in for 2, 3, 4, and letting go for 2, 3, 4. Breathing gently in for 2, 3, 4, and exhaling for 2, 3, 4. The breath in is gentle, and the exhale is simply letting go, letting go, letting go. Continuing now to breathe in and allow the breath to slip away, slip away, slip away. Breathing gently in. And on your exhale, shifting away any tension, any stress. Breathing in. And allow your breath to let go, let go, let go. Continuing now your own pace for 2 more. And letting go, letting go, letting go. Final breath here, breathing in and release, release, release. Taking a moment now to slowly, slowly, slowly come back to the room. Come back to the beautiful space you're in. You may perhaps name your breath. Perhaps now, by doing those simple, gentle breaths, you feel a little bit more relaxed. Slowly beginning to come back by imagining yourself being surrounded by a beautiful, warm, golden light. This light shimmers all around you, protecting you, keeping you safe for the day ahead. We'll close now with some gratitude by placing our hands on our heart. We'll breathe in, and on the exhale, think of somebody you're grateful for today. Breathing in, and on your exhale, think of something you're grateful for today. And final one, breathing in, and on your exhale, a bit of gratitude for yourself, thanking yourself for taking that space, for giving yourself that time. You may repeat these affirmations. I am grounded. I am safe. I am calm. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope you're in the position to fully enjoy that little bit of breath work. And if not, make sure you come back to it and experience it for its full potential. Also, check out more from Becca below in the show notes. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the High Vibration Reset. And if you enjoyed it, please hit the follow button and join us again next week.